Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are tuning in from. You are welcome on Mamlakak Broadcast Network TV, affectionately called MBNK News, a platform designed to contrast the worldly fact with the kingdom through the original. I am Veronique Lawson, your host for this conversation, entitled A Deep Dive with podcaster Robert L. Kraft. He is trust administrator and international delegate for the Brotherhood in Tribulation of the American People, and an avid advocate of maintaining the 1776 funding principle. Further information can be found on our unitedrepublic.com, which is the website that Robert actually, with the organization, building. Today, we take a deep dive into the heart of a legal landscape where the Constitution meets the challenge of our current moment. You will get a better understanding about the American people, public trust, as well as some fundamental principles. Terms like legal framework that reveal a lot about where we are as a society. I am certain Robert Kraft will unpack key development implication as well as exploring how the law is responding to the moment. We are all living in. Civil liberty, governmental power, and the role of institutions are more urgent than ever. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome podcaster Robert Kraft on the stage. And thank you. Thank you very much, Robert, for coming.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. We can hear you perfectly. How are you?
Okay.
And I
I'm
remember
good.
the last time you were here, you just rocked the stage with all the American Constitution, with the law and lands versus maritime law, with the church, which is 6 days, and then only the week we have to rest. And also you talked about the birth certificate. I don't know whether you will have a chance today to dive into that, but prior, I would really want us to have some update. I know there's a lot of stuff going on in your organization. If you could first brief up on that one before you dive into the topic today. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So thanks for having me. I believe the last time we talked, we were really focused on how the divisions of law, and when I say divisions, I don't mean they're just next to each other. I mean divisions like they touch, but they also they have a hierarchy, and we got into general law versus equity law, which versus admiralty versus maritime, and those are the four jurisdictions in the Article 3 of the Constitution. And what's happened is, and we've gotten really lucky, the way that the organization was originated, it was singulared into one individual because law has to originate from one individual. So by bringing it back to one individual and then building it out of one and then two and then adjoining, and the organization has really become like this. I call it a carrier platform, and it's come into the parts about now it's holding 6 jurisdictions technically that it operates in. Technically there's 7, but we're working in 6, and we want to stay in 6. So where we were at Article 3, where you said the Article 3 was general law, equity, admiralty, maritime. We have limited extensively our admiralty maritime law to commercial and consumer, which we really don't participate in that. And then we focus more on the general law and equity divisions, which are the trust divisions. So when you say in God we trust, that's actually non-commercial jurisdiction. So in the United States. So, and what we've done is we kind of said, okay, we're going to take U.S. equity and general law, and then we're going to add American equity and American general law, and then build 2 more on top of that. And the 2 on top of that are what was, if you go to 1950, I have rules of procedure, what was chancery law, which is community law. And then at the top is the highest is common law or English common law. So, and those are American jurisdictions only. So where general law, there's kind of a mixture of American, U.S., and then inequity, there's a mixture of equity is American, U.S. When you get into admiralty, you get into U.S., USA, or U.S. in the public, and then when you get in maritime, you're basically in the public, so you're in the United States of America and the United States, very limited. So we've kind of focused on these upper levels because these are the ones that were not operating the way we wanted, and the way that we built the organization, we gave it certain powers of division or reorganization to be efficient because of how the wording was put into the construct of the trust to allow it to adapt. And we've really gotten lucky. A gentleman gave us our United Republic, and he recorded it in Texas, and we've been able to use that to build out what we call terminals. So we're kind of building like, the best way to say it is like we're building this like railroad in the sky. So right now I'm setting up terminals at the continent, on the continent of North America, out of New York. And what's happening is we're going there, and we're going to specific locations. We figured out how the UPS system attaches to the continent, to the territory of America, only in certain places. And we've been able to because we have the credentials. I have my International Bar Association that puts me at the North American Forum in Human Rights Law and Arbitration. I'm my International Independent Ordained Minister, which means I'm allowed to build a church. And then I have my military discharge review that's general under honorable, which puts me at U.S. general law and or American general law and American, because I'm a veteran, so American general law and American equity. So with those, we've been able to put the paperwork in, and right now we have sites, we have terminals. We're calling them terminals because we kind of have to use this railroad concept because that's kind of where the most powerful law is. When people talk about like the Constitution is written in continental law because it was the American Continental Congress, and the continent is a kingdom, and so you have to deal in like railroad theory, and that's kind of what we're doing. So, really New York with the subway system and stuff, they use the proper language. When you're on the subways and you look around, there is like they're using the right language. They're not using birth or application. They're using the word originate or origin, stuff like that. So it really is fascinating. But we've got sites as of today. We have Brooklyn, which is our central hub out of New York, which is the Grand jurisdiction. That's where the Grand Army is. And that's in Kings County, which Kings County is the origin because it's King Charles made that sui generalis, which is the origin. It can make whatever it wants in the Western Hemisphere. And then we have Port Richmond, which is in Staten Island. We have Exchange Alley, which is actually, the store is actually on the site of George Washington's second presidential mansion. We have Jersey City. We have let me think, Madison, Midtown Manhattan today, and just a few minutes ago before this meeting, our hearing, the meeting, we are in Queensboro right now. So I'm coming to you from New York to New York, and we're in Queensboro, and that's where this interview is. So as far as the railroads go, the railroads have like terminals and stations and hubs, and like it's kind of funny because the Bible talks about like the ladder, the golden ladder that reaches down. Well, it is possible that the golden ladder is actually the railroad, and especially when you get into concepts like transcontinental railroad. Well, that tells you that it's in North America or it's in the continent that it's coming from. So you really have to start thinking about like this law is continental law, and this verbiage is railroad theory. So you have to start operating as if it's a terminal, or it's a switching station, or you're on the track, or Amtrak, American track, or stuff like that, because that's where America is. That's where America was founded, was on the track. It may be under the earth, but remember, it's a foundation, so they call them foundations. So when they're under the earth, everything grows off of them, and production comes off the foundation. And if it's a good foundation, you get good product. If it's a bad foundation, you don't get good product. So, yeah, it's very interesting. So that New Yorkers use proper language. I said the railroads, the subway system, the MTA system uses proper language. When you're on top and you're just in regular, like if you're on top and you're basically doing like consumer stuff, like it's all the same. When you go down and you start to say, that's why they use words like uptown versus downtown, because towns or townships, I thought it was New York City. Why is it uptown? Or why is it a borough? Like, where do the boroughs come from? And they even have these concepts like they have an interborough railroad. So, yeah, the continent, or the Constitution is written under borough law. So county boroughs are where you'll find the Constitution, and those have to happen. To dumb or tunnel, I don't know what dumb is, but I wouldn't say tunnel as much as pathway. So if you take the train from World Trade Center to Jersey City, they call that the path. So you're on the path, right? You're on the beaten path. So, and that's the train. So they use these like funny words. Now, something that's come along that we just found out today, and I didn't really understand it until today. Not only do I have to travel by railroad, but because I have to be on the land, I have to travel by bus. So certain buses, buses have boxes, they call them boxes. And I'm a paramedic, so we use boxes. And I never really understood the concept of boxes. We use them down near Baltimore. But they have these other buses that are called X buses. Well, those X buses cross over on the land, right? So instead of a bus stop, it's actually a crossing. So it's a bus crossing or a land crossing, and it does get yes, Penn Station, Penn Union Station, right? But right up the street is Grand Central Terminal. If you go around the outside of Penn Station of Grand Central, it says terminal. I posted some pictures of it where it says terminal, right? So terminal comes from the word territory. Territories are what continents are on. So say like North American continental territory, right? Because the territory is either under the water, right? And those are the high seas, or it's over the water, it comes out of the water. So that's the land, or technically it's called the area. So when you found so one of the things we had to dig into, again, we got into this whole concept of like what means what. What happened was we realized that only certain types of only certain types of like military can go to a certain place, and only certain types of, so like the Coast Guard can only go to bays. So like Tampa Bay, right? If you listen to the Coast Guard song or the Coast Guard hymn or whatever, I don't know if it's a hymn or a song, but that goes to a bay. It says Tampa on it, right? That's Tampa Bay. But if you go to the Navy can only go to harbors, which means they need a port. But the Marines go to shore, but the Army storms beaches. So you got to know what you're talking about. And beaches are in equity, and shores are in general law, and ports are at Navy, but bays are at the station. So that's why navies are in barracks, and That's why state police, if you ever research state police, they return to their barracks. They don't return to their station. That means that you're doing transport, or you're transporting, right, from port to port. So versus transportation, or transport. So there's like all these little kicks, and you got to be able to identify which ones they are. One of the biggest things that's been kind of tough is making sure I pay attention to not cross a borough boundary or cross from like east to west. I think I almost did today. I realized that I can only stay on the east side of Central Park now. I'm not allowed to go to the west side anymore, because I'm moving. We're like east, so it's funny. Like I don't know if anybody remembers the Jeffersons. The Jeffersons are like moving on up, to the east side, right? They're uptown east side. Yeah, uptown east side is like, that is like the East Coast. Like it's metaphorical for the East Coast, and that's kind of where this is headed. We're moving everything to the east, where we all went west back in the old west, and now we're coming back east. So we're returning to the east.
Wow. My goodness, there's a lot happening, really.
There's so much.
There's so much. Thank you very much for tipping in and giving us some highlight overall for everything that is been going on. Can I say the backstage since the last time we had the interview with you? My goodness. But it's all well, because everything is advancing just to the place that we really want it to be. That being said, do you have anything that maybe you could add into that in terms of, you mentioned Tampa Bay, and you mentioned, I think, somehow Texas. Is Texas a big deal to do in that one? Because we are located in Texas, so I want to know more about Texas and what Texas is playing, especially in this world right now.
Texas just happens to be the place where Our United Republic was recorded, and it was recorded by a gentleman that it's on our website. If you pull the documents, if he did not do what he did, this is not possible. It could not be. We could not entice him. He had to do it on his own, and then he had to give it and say, "This is for you. Go do it." And he gave it to the public. If he didn't do that, we would not be here. So, and he gave it to us to use, to put into the fold of our organization. And what he did is he essentially moved Our United Republic, that was a state of Florida Department of Revenue organization, where we were able to remove the EIN and let that go inactive, because now we have a recording. So we are operating in a private jurisdiction, and our stuff is coming through revenue, which is probably why we got approval for Stripe through U.S. Treasury. So, but yeah, Texas actually isn't the big one. I hate to say it, but Texas is big because it's important. Because remember, this thing's all going to go down in Florida. Florida's prime, because what happened is in 1818 there was a treaty signed, and that treaty basically made the Florida Territory a Vatican in the Western Hemisphere. The Pope signed the treaty, releasing all his claim off the lands and everything, and basically made Andrew Jackson like Pope. If you start reading some of the laws that happened after the Treaty of Sessions, after the Treaty of Sessions went in, when you read the Treaty of Sessions and you realize what happened, basically Florida was like this independent kingdom, just by itself. It's just this whole kingdom. So Florida became like the key to this thing, and maybe that's why there's the Florida Keys. Maybe that's why all the islands are called Keys, because it's the key, key to the kingdom. So really, this happened, and then Andrew Jackson starts like writing ordainments, like you're allowed to charge, like the government's allowed to charge for like weddings and stuff. Well, all that stuff came from what happened in Florida, and then they birthed out of Florida, the Florida Territory, this kingdom. So think of it like a kingdom. It's basically a kingdom among itself, the whole country. they birth Hillsborough County. Well, it's funny because Manhattan in Indian means Hill Island, and it's a borough, right? So Manhattan's a borough, but when you say Hill Island borough, you get Hillsborough, and that's basically Tampa. That's Tampa. So it's kind of funny, but so that whole original area from Pasco to South Charlotte to east to DeSoto and what is it, Polk County, that is the original Hillsborough, and that is a borough that is actually like this entirely new city of Washington. So that's really where the city of Washington is this whole borough that's there, and there are some other things that line up that make that factual, and there are opportunities. Like, it's interesting that Tampa Bay is a bay, but that's Coast Guard, but Charlotte Harbor is a harbor, but it's partially in Lee County and partially in Charlotte County, and there's all this stuff like that. That's what they did. That's how they were able to export this stuff. They were able to divide some things up and then basically remove people's nation states and start creating nation states without people. And that's pretty much how they bamboozle us.
Wow, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have a few questions that I think Carl was asking. It was an act on the books, correct? And and John also was asking another question too.
Yeah.
John?
Can you elaborate on what veterans seem to do with their D214 happen? Yes. Okay. So all veterans, and I was told this when I got out. They don't tell veterans anymore. They don't tell them that they're changing their name in basic training either. When they finalize their contract, you actually get a new name. But that's why Dwight D. Eisenhower was actually born in his Bible, David Dwight Eisenhower, because when you went in the military and they did the name change at basic, when they finalized your contract, you should really like reverse your first and last name, or you should make it a second, or you should do something to change it so you know who they're talking to when they talk to you. And that's what he did. So that's why there's two different names. But really, the veteran thing is really simple. You just take your D214 and you go down to the home of record. You're going to go to your courthouse. If you're in a small town, it'll be like they'll all be in one. If you're in a moderate sized town, they might be with something else like the probate court land record or something like that. But it's an official record. It's not a land record. And then if you are in like a city like New York, if you go to Brooklyn, when you go to Brooklyn, you have to go into the Supreme Court of Brooklyn. You have to go past the clerk of court, like across this like entire walkway, and you go to this back wall, and there's a sign that says, "For court of record, take the elevator down." You have to go down to like this weird sub basement, and then when you get to the sub basement, you go down this long hallway. It's really creepy. It's almost like the Matrix kind of paint on the wall, like that weird green, and that's literally the court of record. And when I did some research, that's actually where Thomas Jefferson tried to have Aaron Burr indicted. So those records are in there, where Aaron Burr was supposed to be indicted for treason. So, but yes, that court of record. And those courts, just so you know, those are general law courts. Those courts don't have any trial courts right now. There are no U.S. general trial courts domestically. So until we get a U.S. general trial court activated, we cannot get access to the official record to actually have it all cleaned up. And that's part of what we're trying to do, is get that official record open and get a mechanism of jurisprudence back into that system so that it is functional and it is operating under justices.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much for answering that question. Thank you again also for Bob L. I see that call. I just want to wave to everybody who is watching. We have too many people on the comment there. So thank you very much. Thank you. And yes, we are very privileged to have you again, as I said.
Thank
Could
you.
you please again remember last time you touched on the birth certificate? I don't know whether you really want to touch on that today, or maybe you feel that we could come back for another show just for the birth certificate.
You
And
know,
for the straw, how you call it, the straw man.
yeah, it might be good. I think straw man's a bad term. I don't really care for the term. Let me put it that way. I don't care for the term. That's not a word I would use. I would use more like adolescent, and I think it's really hard for people to grasp that there is no American birthright citizenship. That doesn't exist. Okay.
Can you please repeat that big time, please?
there,
Oh my gosh.
there is no American birthright citizenship. Okay, that does not exist. American citizenship is by oath and naturalization. Naturalization. So when you go to the Article 1 and it says a process for naturalization, that means there's something that has to be done to become naturalized. Naturalized is habitat, right? Because it's natural, and habitat are for inhabitants, which are in provinces, and provinces are in territories, and territories are on continents, which leads us back to the train, right? So back to the train, right? You got a territory, you got a province. That's why the Liberty Bell says, to all inhabitants will have liberty from the province of Pennsylvania. And it says in the liberty, it tells you what the liberty is. The liberty is what? Pass or stow. Now they told us, oh, it's John Pass. There is no John Pass, John Stow. They don't exist. Okay, there is pass or stow, because we are considered like we are our own vessel playing the game of life, and we get to choose, we get offered, and some things that we're offered are traps, and some things are vices, and some things are good. And you got to know what to pass, what you don't want into your collective or your little soul, safe box, and your box, and you got to pass the stuff that's not good, and you have to try and stow what is. So you stow it in what? You stow it we stow it in the hold, right? Stow it in the hold. Take it into the hold and stow it, because we're vessels, right? So pass and stow, right? So that's the liberty. Our liberty to pass, to say, no, I don't want to be a part of that, go away, or to stow, say, nope, come on in, sup with me, let's have a conversation. And that's pass and stow. So, and it's the same thing. So birthright citizenship doesn't exist. Naturalization exists, because when you naturalize, you're going into the habitat. And what's the big difference? Well, when you are granted civil liberty, that means that you get to choose your guardian of your trust, which is basically your Social Security trust. Plus, there's some other trusts out there that are putting your name when you're born, stuff like that. Well, you get to choose who is the guardian of your trust. So for me, if I was going to choose anybody right now, I would remember, they have to be qualified. They have to be qualified. It's not just anybody. I can't just have my buddy over here, right? No. I chose the United States Marine Corps Judge Advocate Division, Maine, to be my guardian. So they're the only ones I trust. So that's who I wanted mine to go to. The judge did whatever. I don't know what happened, but as far as I'm concerned, Division Maine has my Social Security trust to use. So and to administer, because I don't want anywhere near the federal government, because they're untrustworthy, and I don't want it anywhere near anybody else because they're not qualified. I can't just give it to anybody. So you get to choose your guardian when you have civil liberty, and this is why they won't grant civil liberty. But veterans who swore an oath to all enemies, foreign and domestic, they become American. That's why they go to the military entrance processing station. Once they're there and they've been in for 6 months, they are considered veterans. They now have they now have civil liberty, but that's all been blocked by the federal government, and that's what's happened. That's why we don't have any American citizen veterans.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much for that answer. Wow, that's a really in-depth explanation about birth certificate and how we, the American people, do not really have a birth, the birth rights
Well, it's a
system.
second birth. It's your second birth. Because when you go to the military entrance processing station, they actually issue a new national birth certificate, which is held at the Office of Personnel Management in Washington. So it is the second birth. You have another birth.
Wow. It's just like the believer, you got two births.
A lot of this
Born
stuff
again.
is built on that concept. You have to like read the Bible and then be like, how did they set this up? Well, they used a lot of the Bible to be this like path. So you're like it's not just oh blah blah blah. No. There's the second birth. It's right here, and here's the birth certificate. Now you're not a state citizen. You're a national. You're an American national. American citizen, right? It's a second birth. It's a second, and that's why that's what got them there. That's why they lead it that way. A lot of this stuff, the Bible is like applied in a lot of this. You do not have a pretty good understanding of, especially Revelations. Like I got lucky. I only studied Revelations from the time I was 12, and I didn't read the Bible until I was like 43. So I only know Revelations. A lot of the stuff I've had to like follow has been along that road in Revelations.
Wow. So we have another question from Carl. So the word super is actually a gathering of conversation with breaking bread being the side activity.
Breaking the loaf with new ideas. You're breaking bread, all right. It's the loaf when you're having the conversation. There's a reason that Plato wrote dialogues. Conversation is how non-adolescents learn. They learn through dialogue. They learn through question and answer. And they learn through listening to question and answer and debate and watching the debate or hearing the debate. They don't learn by someone standing at a lectern barking at them. That's just someone's opinions. That doesn't mean anything, and there's no value in it. So for vocation, it's great. Like if you're learning something technical, yeah, sure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if you're trying to expand abstractive theory or thought, that requires conversation. So
Everything that seems manual actually means something. Words are weapons.
words. So I have this little saying: "Sticks and stones may break your bones, but words and ideas have created or destroyed nations, cultures, and people since the dawn of man."
Can you please explain that better again for the people who just join it or who may not really understand how words and language are really weapons?
Yeah, words are weapons. So if you were to go back to like ancient Greece, you would hear about the sophists. So there's two types. There's really two types of people. There's the sophist, and then there's the dialectician or the artificer. And what happens is we don't understand that people. It's kind of like War and Peace. Okay, when you're having a conversation with someone, if that person is not intellectually adult enough to have like a real conversation, everything that you interact with them will become a tactical weapon, whether they use the art of going behind your back persuasion, or they use manipulation, or they try to manipulate you, or they use this like subtlety where they actually make accusation, but it's not accusation. It is accusation, but then it's gaslighting. So we call it gaslighting, but really what it is they make the first strike, and then they come back and then they want to play victim, and they and then they'll offer up some like whatever, like, oh, I'm sorry for this, but then they leave out like the entire list of everything else that they did. So, and it requires someone who's a tactician, a a intellectual tactician to realize, oh no, you're I know the game. I know the game you're playing. This is what you do all the time. You go around prodding people, trying to get them to respond, and you're like, whoa, what do you mean? Oh, I'm sorry for that, but I literally destroyed your name throughout the entire public social structure at the same time. So that's what they do, and words are weapons. Like you can plant seeds in people, especially people that are willing. They're either close or they don't. They agree that they don't like someone, and they can just pile up, and they'll destroy everything. And they're everywhere.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you very much, Robert, for adding that pillar. You spoke about liberties. So were you alluding to civil liberty or all liberties in general?
Well, civil liberty is the concept of not being under statutory or federal law, but you're actually moved up to U.S. code. Now, if the court systems were set up properly, those who had civil liberty, they would be under U.S. code. Now, when I say that, and I want to make sure this is clear, as you move up, the consequences become worse and the expectation becomes higher. So you can stay in like civil law right down here and under statutes, and that's fine. Stay there. That's where everybody basically starts. You can go to federal law. Yeah, you're a little bit higher, right? So a little more expectation, whatever. When you start getting into U.S. code, and you start getting into like you're a veteran under honorable condition. Under honor means a knight, and last I checked, North America's a kingdom. In fact, I posted a castle yesterday in Kingsbridge. So we have castles, but the veterans are the guardians, and they will. My expectation is when all this is fixed, you won't get out of. You're not getting released from the military. You will go to domestic inactive, but you will still be under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. And because you were put in trust. Now, there are going to be other mechanisms that open up that you'll be able to participate in because of your trust, because of your trustedness, not your trust like money, trustedness. So there will be other opportunities, but you can pretty much expect that that will be consistent basically throughout your life. Like it won't change.
Wow, thank you very much. We have another question. I think that is that Aida is asking, is that the case why some Hispanic that serve in the army still don't have citizenship?
Yeah, there is the federal government. They have really done a good job of dividing the military members from their ability to acquire the things that they're supposed to have. And that's the stuff that's getting fixed. That's what a lot of this stuff is, getting this stuff rewired back up where, oh, you're Hispanic. Well, you're Hispanic, but you served in the military. Okay. And for those of you who served in the military, like, we don't care. Like, I don't care. Like, I don't care. I've served with all kinds of people. It doesn't matter. And most of us are like that. And we are, and for the most part, I think we really do try to stay apolitical. I know I do. I don't get involved. I'm not even a U.S. voter anymore. Part of the trust was that I had to remove all my U.S. voting, everything off all the registries, because that's how I wrote the trust. Under the Brotherhood, if you're an officer of the Brotherhood, you're not allowed to be a U.S. voter. You're not allowed to take a political side at all. You have to be neutral. But yes, those are rules that were put in to make sure that you were not able to get to where you thought you were going, and get the things that you had a right to. That is going to have to be mended and put back together.
Thank you very much, Robert. Did you have anything to say about the trust or or the church? Remember?
Well, the trust is the church. The trust is
please.
the church. So yes, the trust is a multi-divisional trust. Okay, the way this one's structured is that common law is on top. The organized religion has taken the canon law second position, uh, and and then we go into American U.S. general law and equity. So these are really the six divisions that the trust is built on, and the foundation. People will say, well, you're not supposed to do that because it's religion, like blah blah blah. This is how we approached it, because the nation was founded under religious freedom, and because the veterans were basically taught that we have a job, and our job is to be politically neutral, and our job is to make sure that our commercial system works and our economy works, and that is protected. But our job is also to make sure that people have the right to believe, and they have the right to believe, and they have the right to go through their life and have their journey. Well, the two primary mechanisms that have started wars throughout history have been those who either wanted, well, riches or power, right, which is that side over here, right, Admiralty and Maritime, or crusades for the conquering of organized religion. Okay, so, and that's over here. Well, we really took the principle of religious freedom, and we even took it to the point of our nation is not supposed to save people from their vices. Our nation is supposed to assist people to turn from their vices, but allow them the latitude to fail so they can learn. And I think we've gone into this whole part of I think by the last 500 years, by putting like the specified organized religion on top, we have not allowed a mechanism of neutrality to be able to keep that line between, you have a right to, you want to be organized religion, you want to be Catholic, go be Catholic. Like, that's great. There's no problem with that. Go do it. But you're not going to start a crusade and start murdering people. Like, it's just not. We're not going back to the crusades. It's not going to happen. So do whatever you want. Just, you're not going to pound it down anybody because you think that that's the only way. Like, that's not going to work anymore. And at the same time, if your religion is profits and riches and everything else, and that's what you've decided that your religion is, then fine. But you're not going to have slaves, and you're not going to put people into slavery and make them worship you. That's not going to happen either. Or barely survive while you're making just absolute incredible amounts of riches. That's not going to happen either. Like, there has to be a moderation somewhere. There has to be a moderator somewhere. And that's what this was built for. This was built to try and mend those two divisions and kind of act as like this flex or like tightening and expansion at certain points to allow those two divisions to just do what they do naturally, but not become too much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Wow. And I think I have the question coming up there with you mentioned religion, organized religion as part of a trust. Or I don't know, maybe I may have missed.
No, the organization recognizes, so the organization only recognizes three types, right? It recognizes either profit or commercial. It recognizes trusts, which so it's profit or trust, right? So it's profit, or basically profit is state or religion, and then the third part is honor, which is justice or law. So there's the only three divisions that's in the organization as far as how something's recognized. So you're either on the profit side, you're either on the religion side, right? Church and state. So you're the church, you're the state, or you're in the judiciary or the neutrality, which is really where the veterans are supposed to be. So we don't really recognize like organized religion as much as we recognize an organization. And then depending on how that organization's structured, how their language is, is what determines. Like if you say we're at common law, but then you have your organization, you have the term governors or senators. Like those are all profit terms. Those are legislative terms. There is no legislation in common law, so it's all done by trial. So there's no way to have a senator or a governor in common law. So that would make you, that would turn your language had just moved you over to basically the state profit.
Wow, that's. I mean, the language can control an organization right outside of really what they're supposed to be standing for.
Right,
As you
and
just mentioned, is wow.
that's
That's
why we've been so hesitant on signing in or coming into affiliation with any like organized, because they have to get their vocabulary fixed, how we recognize them, or we will not recognize them, because they have to stay within the confines of the vocabulary of the dictionary that we use.
Is there any dictionary or maybe any book that people could refer to do that, or that's what your organization is about to build to put them all
Well,
together?
the Bible.
The Bible, okay, but the thing,
We use the word nation. We use the word province. These are all
yeah,
biblical terms. So those are terms that they're not allowed to use. And you got to understand, it's a shield. It's not just a sword. It's a shield. By using these words, okay, the way that we use them, they don't have the language to actually participate with us, because they can't cross into that language. So that's one of the reasons we use it as a guard to keep them out, or to keep them from coming in, because they can't synthesize it. It doesn't work.
and I'm glad that you actually bring the Bible as the manual, because you
Yeah.
know usually religious people, the thing that the Bible is more to spirituality, religions, or whatever, but they don't know that it's actually the framework of everything.
Right. Right. It is. And don't think that I discount like any other religion. My Constitution, if you read it, it totally accepts Judaism. It totally accepts Christianity. In fact, it classifies it that these certain things, and even Islam. I own a Quran. I own two Qurans actually, and I've read them, and there is a lot of valuable information in there. In my construct of how I approach that religion, and I put it um, in my Constitution, it says the value of association, the value of organization, the value of relationships. Like there's a lot of power in those things, and to discount, Islam as like, oh, it's this. No. I lived in Iraq. I've been overseas. I've been to Dubai. No, I don't think so. You are looking from afar on a propaganda mechanism, and you have no idea. You've never been there. I've been there for an extended period of time. Most of the people that you come in contact with are just regular people. They don't get involved in all that stuff. They just want to do their thing, like the rest of us.
It's a lamb script propaganda.
It is. It is. Well, as long as we're fighting, we're not getting anything done.
Exactly. Wow. That's vast knowledge. Thank you very much, Robert. Do you have anything that you may want to discuss before any question comes up in?
I think that I've been making. I don't know if you've been watching Telegram, making videos. People we have this. So we got this approval to fund this mission, and basically it's individually funded. So any donations that are given by an organization or a business like those, they can offer to help, but this is for individuals, and these people are going to own this trust when it's over and it gets recorded and everything's done. And I'm going to be honest with you, this is an expensive venture, but being able to, the people that are funding it, to be able to own it, and they're the ones that will be recorded, I think is the right way to do it. And we appreciate it, and we're doing what you guys asked to do. So we couldn't take the torch any further without that being able to happen. It just wasn't going to go. Wasn't enough to make it happen.
Wow, thank you. I think that we have another question that's just popping there to the comment. Is there any information where people can contact you? And I know that the last time we have the interview with you, we post the show on TikTok. But I remember that watching you on oh, that's you are in the city
FDNY.
of the alarm.
FDNY.
New York
Creep by.
City. Yeah, that's New York City. I remember last time I was watching your last show, your last postcard with Captain Carr, in which you said that you were no longer in TikTok. So, is there you have a new platform in Telegram? I
I'm on
think,
Telegram only. I'm not
but
on anything else.
what name? What name are you using on Telegram?
It's our United Republic.
Okay,
But I think there's some other ones out there. I think let me make sure I say the right thing.
yeah.
Okay, give me 1 second so I can make sure you go to the right place. I'm so bad with this thing. Social media is not my thing.
That's true.
I'm really not good at it, honestly.
Yes, I know.
Okay,
They're,
so
they're not so friendly.
it's our United Republic. OUR, our United Republic, APPT.
A
Is
P
APPT.
A
Here,
T P T
APPT.
A P P T.
Yep,
Okay,
APPT, American People's Public Trust. And
okay,
then
perfect.
that's the main page, and then there's a separate chat. So let me
Okay,
check the chat and tell you what it is. Oh, I don't know how to get to the chat. I think the chat's on the link.
okay,
It's there. It's on the link. Yeah. So
perfect.
someone asked if they want to try and get a
Yeah,
hold of me.
would you allow
Um,
us to post the video after on that link in I mean in your Telegram channel?
Post a video.
Yeah, post the show after it's gone. Will you
Oh
allow
yeah,
us
yeah, yeah. As soon as I
if it's
get it, I'll
possible?
post
Yeah,
it. I'll post it.
I'm gonna sign
Um,
in onto that.
yeah, absolutely. I'll post it. So people ask if they can get a hold of me. You can go to our website, ourunitedrepublic.com.
Mhm.
Our contact information is at the bottom. I'm not going to lie to you. I do kind of screen as much as I can, but right now we've grown so fast. We have we're getting ready to replace. We had somebody step out. They weren't really. They had other things to do. So we're in the process of finding a regional coordinator for Florida. But we do have a state liaison who's actually acting as our international liaison, and they're the ones who had the phone conference with the military recently. They just on the phone with an hour talking to them. Then we have a national coordinator, and then for this whole thing on TikTok, all this stuff's getting archived because we have to show certain things. That certain things happen. So we have an archivist. So it's expanding like very fast, and a lot of people are just pitching in to work. But the other thing that I want to say, and I want to make sure, is we put out a package for counties to start the first phase of organizing, and a lot of this goes back to the vocabulary, making sure that the words are correct when they start out. So there is a package out there, and we will send you a package, and it's the first steps of how to notice and stuff like that to actually get your county community properly organized to prepare to actually to execute a relationship or an affiliation to our organization, because we do have to make sure that the language is connecting the proper way or it won't work.
Wow, thank you for the hard work you put in for the people for our United Republic. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, we need to get back to the Republic. I can't wait for that one. What's the time to be alive?
Oh, I know. There's so much happening.
So much happening, and many codes, many codes.
Yeah, really. Let's talk about this real quick. The word seat. So when they say make a seat of government, seat,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Well, the word seat actually is an acronym that means C, which is commerce, um, earth, which is property, like legal description, property record, like commercial property, and then area or air, which is zones, like zoned areas. Zoning is actually the area part, the special equity, and then T is territory, which is the territory of the province of the continent, like So seat is actually an acronym.
Wow.
So, yeah, a lot of these words that you see, they're not words. They are actually acronyms that mean something.
So we've been lying to for so long.
I'm not sure that the average person. I'm not sure that the majority of people, like, you think they're lying to you. I don't think they know. I don't think they know. To be honest with you,
Wow.
they maybe 100 years ago they were lying, but today I just don't think they know. So,
Do you think that we will be able to really wake up the majority of people to one way I say to this operation, because it's so, I mean, the operation is so deep that some people kind of say, okay, whatever. Qu'est-ce qui sera, c'est déjà du déjà vu, like the French people say. So
no, I don't think so. I think that people will grow in their due time, and I think we're gonna have to send them someplace. That might be it. I think we're gonna have to send them someplace where they have time to grow into this. I think that so one of the things that we're trying to work out is we're trying to give that area jurisdiction that we talked about, the area zoning.
yes.
We're trying to give everything that's in that area jurisdiction to the Seminole Indians, and the tribal nations for a couple reasons. They're just better at taking care of nature than we are. We're just really not good at it as a whole. So maybe we can give it to somebody who actually cares. They've proven over time they care. So it's probably the best thing is to give it to them. But that also creates a division of court where the people are out of civil courts. If we can get that worked out, where that'll be like a holding place for people, allowing them to grow until they are ready to step out.
Wow. Do you think that our history book are going to be? I know that people are already they've been writing all about everything that has been going on. But do you think that it will be a place that is going to come to the education, really going back into the university, that they're going to kind of remove what they taught and bring the actuality?
I think that there's going to be a place to have that healthy debate and argument.
Yeah.
Instead of like the peer-reviewed system that they have now, where these things can be challenged and things that are found can be argued. And I think there's a place to have them declared, yet leave the opening up to have them actually argued for real. So yeah, I hope so. I hope that's what happens, because obviously one person who claims to be an expert has no idea that, as far as the United States is concerned, the War of 1812 ended. But as far as America is concerned, the War of 1812 never ended. So I don't know. I mean, like, you're gonna have to have that debate, and people are gonna have to really understand that we are a people's nation state. So we are America is a people.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the U.S. is a nation.
Yeah.
And the United States of America is a state. We are a people's nation state, 3 in 1. And it is a country within a country within a country. Each one is an independent country. And they are affiliated and associated, but they do not have the same role.
3 in 1. I like that. People, nation, state.
People's nation state.
People's
and
nation.
It's apostrophe S. It's not a S apostrophe. It's a people's nation state.
Nation state. 3 in 1.
Yeah.
I like that. Thank you, Lily, for that correction. Okay, our United Republic APPG.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah. Wow. So you say that the war 1814 or 1817?
1812.
1812.
Yeah.
is still not finished.
No,
Oh,
no.
so
No, the war, for as far as the American people are concerned and the American Continental Army, the war's never ended. We are still under siege, usurpation, mostly from within. Best guess, this is a guess, best guess we can narrow down right now. We know that the War of 1812 didn't end. We know,
yes,
we understand how, and there's places you can find it. If you were to go find the Spirit of Baltimore, which is a ship that travels up and down the East Coast,
yeah,
on their banners it says that the War of 1812 never ended. So it's not like it's not right in front of you, okay? But it essentially, what's happened, 1814, the first president pro temp was put in place. Andrew Jackson acted as or James Monroe was somehow Secretary of War and Vice President at the same time, right around that time. If I had to guess based on everything, I would tell you that Andrew Jackson, James Monroe, and Aaron Burr were collaborating. There are stories of Aaron Burr going to Europe to try and meet with Napoleon to set up a federal state in the southwestern United States. After the war, well, supposedly the war ended. The Monroe Doctrine came out that locked out. If you read the end of the Monroe Doctrine, it locked out England and it locked out the Russian American Corporation, and it only facilitated East India Trading Company, which is technically British. And I don't mean British like England. I mean British like the United Kingdom and the Netherlands and the Dutch, or the Flying Dutchman. And really, this stuff goes back so long. I think our world's changed in a lot of ways from what it was, and I think that's what's happening is we're starting to reset things to where we thought they were or where they should be. So there's really not a lot of finger pointing because it was just as much our responsibility to pay attention as it was their responsibility to just do what they were doing. So I hate to isolate any one because we all played a role in this. But yeah, I think you're going to see a very big change in the process of what is history and what is not. So there won't be a max. It says what's the max? There won't be a max. We are closing it out right. We know we're going to close it out in September because the fiscal year ends September 30th. It should be the new U.S. budget, national budget, should be in place October 1. So that we want to try and coincide with the transition of the U.S. back to a nation state versus a federal autocracy or whatever. I don't even know what that thing's called, that monster that they created. So abominable beast burden. So I don't even know what you call that. I mean, I used to think it was a meritocracy, but it ain't meritocracy. It's just like it's like random. I don't even know. I don't know what you can call that. So
yeah. So you were answering the question of John, correct? John's.
Yeah. His thing popped up. I don't know. We don't know, and it's not like we've sold that many. I mean, there's 360 million people in America. We are it's not pouring in. So I don't think we're going to have that problem. But we are going to cap off definitely early September, unless something else takes place that we can do it early. But that has to be the case because we have to reconcile the whole trust and make sure that everything's recorded correctly, make sure everything's in proper order, everything's done, and that'll take about a month to put all that together. Plus, whatever associations, if there are any, the way that we go, how many counties are up, because we're going by county. And if we're going by county, we have to go to 9 or 13 states. I mean, 70 to get to divide into a territory constitution. Mm-hmm. You need 70% of the counties in each state to have a convention of counties to initiate the development of a territorial constitution. So that way that the state will have their constitution, but their constitution is revenue, and this is the law revenue constitution.
Mhm.
So yeah, you need 13 states in every state, and it doesn't matter what states they are. Like it doesn't matter if they're provinces or states or whatever. It's North America. So the whole North America can participate. I don't know what the map's going to look like.
And then Canada will be also part of it, correct?
Yeah, the Our United Republic, the gentleman who put it, he actually recorded the Articles of Confederation again. So Canada is aligned, brotherly, aligned to us. They always have been, but it renews it, reactivates the Articles.
So it's that the 51 state because it's paying the 51 states so that.
Well, we don't really recognize states, so we stick to provinces because we're going to provinces. Technically, we're like, we need them. We're taking their provinces. Like, oh, we got the Florida province now, Florida State Territory. Province in and for the Florida State Territory. So they're not becoming the 51st state. We're becoming 50 more provinces of Canada.
I see the question there. What about Greenland?
Where? Greenland.
What about Greenland?
Yeah. Listen, there are 8 kings in the Bible. This is the 8th king. The North America is the 8th king. If you read Thomas Paine talks about the 8 continents, including Antarctica. Antarctica's a continent. So we are the 8th king, and we are getting our crap together and fixing our kingdom.
The 8th kingdom. You're talking about the 8th kingdom, right?
Yeah. I mean, Thomas Paine wrote about it.
Wow, that's beautiful. I don't know whether we have. Okay, there is no limit. Carl is said that there is no limit, but please explain the purchase and if people want them in someone else's name.
Okay, so to purchase. And we've had people offer us funds. One of the things that we told Treasury was that all purchases will be individual basis, and those purchases, if there's any groups or anything, they can make donations, but we will not issue shares to any groups. So it has to be one single human being is who the shares are going to. If you are going to make a purchase and you want those shares in another name, you need to send a separate email. And that separate email goes to, if you go to our website, the email's on there, Our United Republic at Gmail. I'm sorry, Our United Republic. My brain's melting at proton.me. So you can, or let me walk that back. Or you can send it to ourunitedrepublic at gmail.com, because when you get your receipt, ourunitedrepublic at gmail.com is the email that will be on your receipt. It doesn't matter which one you send it to. You specify what you want. When we do the shipping invoice, we will itemize each share the way it's divided with the names. And then those shares will be sent the way they are with the shipping invoice. So you'll have confirmation that is the share, that is the name it came in.
Thank you for providing that information for the public, and for whoever wanted to go and purchase. I hope that there's going to be enough place for the people to be able to purchase. As you said, there's no limit. So,
there's no limit right now. I mean, if it goes crazy, we might have to just stop it early, but it hasn't. So we're not anywhere near that.
Awesome. That is a good news. That's good news for those who are going to come late. Okay, I think that we do not have any other question in the comment. I don't see it.
You good?
I don't see any question. I think.
All right. Because I'm getting on the road. I got one more stop to make, or I got a couple stops to make. But
thank you very much. I'm gonna test you some dates again for part 3.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Give us update of the development and all that. So, but we really appreciate your time and your ability to come on and share what's been going on into the Constitution and the law and the United Republic. And then we really want to have people be aware of what is going on, so that people won't be as woke, but will be awakened to
Well,
what
we need to open the door. The ones that are ready, they'll find a way to go through the door.
exactly,
There needs to
exactly,
be a door.
exactly. Thank you,
So,
thank you very much. We
all right.
appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
You're
Take
welcome.
care.
Thank
Bye.
you. So that's all for us today. We are wrapping up this show, and as you hear it correctly from our guest today, there is no limit on purchase of the trust, and you could actually follow our guest on the Telegram. We are going to put the links into the comment box so that you could follow him, right? And we're going to post also this video into his Telegram channel, and many people who have not been aware of it today will be able to watch it later on. That's all for today for us. You could follow us on our various platform. We are on X, we are on Twitter, on Rumble, on BitChute, on Odyssey, on True Social, on we are on Reddit, and we are YouTube and Facebook. Thank you again for having us today and for letting us come into your home. It's been my privilege to host this show with our only Robert Kraft, our United Republic. Bye-bye.